you got a minute to learn about the different learning styles? There are three well-known learning styles: visual, auditory and kinesthetic. And then there are the lesser known logical or analytical learners. Visual learners are children who learn best when they see something, for example, pictures, diagrams, films, videos or demonstrations. Visual learning is believed to be the most dominant learning style, and many classrooms are geared towards the visual learner. Here are some of the characteristics of visual learners. They remember what they see rather than what they hear. They remember diagrams and pictures, and they prefer to read and write rather than listen. They have trouble remembering verbal instructions and need an overall view and purpose before beginning a project. They like art more than music and sometimes tune out when trying to pay attention. It's worth noting that telling these children how to do something might not make sense to them at all. They need to see it. Auditory learners are more interested in learning through the spoken word. They prefer to learn by listening, and here are some of the characteristics of auditory learners. They can follow verbal instructions easily. They like to hear someone explain, and they like explaining to someone else. They like debating, and they like discussing with others, and they tend to talk to themselves while they're working. They enjoy reading aloud and like music more than art. It's worth noting that auditory learners might look like they're not paying attention when you talk to them, but their listening skills are more developed than their visual skills. The kinesthetic learning style is also referred to as physical or active or tactile. These learners need to apply the information and make it their own by constructing something or practicing a technique or skill. The characteristics of kinesthetic learners are that they often take notes or even draw pictures or doodle while they're listening. They like to move around while they're listening or talking, and they really like hands-on activities and group interaction. They often talk with their hands, and they like to touch things to learn about them. It's worth noting that these learners like to be actively involved in the learning process, and they learn best through hands-on activities and movement. These types of learners can be misdiagnosed as ADHD or troublemakers because the more traditional visual or auditory learning styles don't work for them, and they like to move around. Is there a fourth style? Well, while the three learning styles I've mentioned are most commonly known, some experts talk about logical or analytical learners. These kids learn through exploring patterns and understanding how things relate to each other. These learners also love knowing how things work and are capable of quite logical thinking at a very young age. They ask a lot of questions so they can understand how things interrelate, and they show an early aptitude at solving mathematical problems. The styles and checklists I've mentioned can help you work out which style your child responds best to. There are also quite a few online tests you can do simply by ticking a few boxes, and these are a lot of fun more than scientific. I can send you a few links to online tests if you like. Just fill in the box on the side and I'll send you a link so you can have some fun working out which learning style you or your child has. If your child has had special ed at school or has a tutor to help with reading and they're still struggling, don't wait for another frustrating year, because there's help and hope. If you'd like to talk to me about the help I offer, please call me for a free, no obligation 15-minute consultation. Or fill in the box on the side and I'll give you a call. The next video answers questions that people often ask me.